Dog football, Georgia Clemson preview starts right now. Hey, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me. It's the first video of our channel, and we're doing a Georgia Clemson preview. September 4th, 7:30 p.m. It's going to be a pretty massive game. At least that's how it looks on paper right now. So I just want to go over a couple of things. Well, first, my name is Andrew West. I'm starting a channel, Dog Football. It's going to cover Georgia football news, updates, games, predictions. It's going to have all different types of content. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. It means a lot to me. So thank you for watching. But I want to go over a couple of things. So I want to touch on the obvious. So these are the things that we already know going into the game. Both teams are talented. They have very talented rosters. They both recruit at a very high level. Obviously, I'll touch on Georgia in a second because I know a lot more about Georgia than I do about Clemson. But I've been trying to read up on Clemson. I've been watching some podcasts. Some people talk about Clemson that are close to the program. And these are a few notable players that I wrote down. And there's obviously a lot more, like a slew of players that they have that are probably going to make an impact in this game. But again, I don't cover Clemson, so I don't know them. So I'm just going to name off a couple of players that can make a big impact in the outcome of the game. Obviously, at QB, they have DJ Uiagalelei. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I botched it, sorry. At running back, they have a freshman, Will Shipley. Will Shipley had a lot of buzz in their spring game. A lot of people are hyped about this guy. A lot of people think he can make an impact right away. So we'll see. He could be a factor in this game. There's no telling, honestly. So there's not a lot of tape on him either because he's a freshman. So he could have a big impact. And wide receiver Justin Ross. Now he's coming off of an injury. I'm not too familiar of what the injury was, but I am aware that he was injured. But I think he's already back at practice from what I read. But he's an All-American too, so he's obviously going to make a pretty big impact. So Georgia has their hands full with him. So on the defensive side, they have linebacker James Skowski. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry if I messed that one up too. I'm not great with names. But he's number 47 for Clemson. A lot of you have probably seen him in highlights. He's one of their star players for Clemson on defense. And they also have center back Fred Davis. I'm not too familiar with him, but he's one of the people that popped out on the roster that seems to be like he's going to make a pretty big impact on the team this year. So Clemson, obviously, even if you don't know the players, you're familiar that they recruit on a very high level. So you already know going into the game that they're going to have a lot of 5-star and 4-star players that are ready to step on the field and play at a very elite level. So Georgia will have their hands full with this game. But Georgia also has a slew of players that can match that talent. Now, obviously, there's some injured players this year. Or in this fall camp, we've had some injured players. We've had Darnell Washington go down recently. Taki Smith was recent. Now, obviously, George Pickens has been out since spring. Dominic Blaylock, he's been out for a while. He's kind of an unknown. We're not really sure if Dominic Blaylock is going to be able to come back and play the Clemson game. We're not really sure about any of these guys, honestly, except for George Pickens. I'm pretty sure will not be able to play. You had Warren Erickson that went down, the center for Georgia. Now, I think he snaps with his left hand, but he can also snap with his right. So the pictures from practice, he had his one of his hands wrapped up in a cast, and the other hand he was snapping with. So he was back for the scrimmage. So he probably will be ready to go come game time. Not really sure. And obviously, Kearis Jackson had an injury. Jermaine Burton had an injury, but they're both back already. And obviously, Eric Gilbert. Eric Gilbert's out with personal issues, as a lot of you already know. But I'm not really expecting Eric Gilbert to be able to play in this game. But with that said, we have a lot of people that can step in. You have Arian Smith, Justin Robinson. You have Rosemy Jack Saint that can step in. You also have Brock Bowers. Georgia seems very confident in this kid. Now, he's a freshman, so he's not going to be, as ready to go as, someone like Darnell Washington or Fitzpatrick. And I also forgot to mention Fitzpatrick is also out with an injury, but I expect him to be back to play for this game. I But yeah, Brock Bowers could make an impact. Now, obviously, you have Brini who can step in to play for Tyke Smith. I think he had a really good game against Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl, and I think that he'll have a pretty good game against Clemson as well. And Tyke Smith actually hadn't beaten out Brini at the moment, so that position was still up for play anyway. So obviously Brini has been doing very well in camp. He's been probably impressing the coaches, so I'm not too worried with that position. I know some people are more worried with the secondary than I probably am. I'm pretty confident. But I'm honestly more concerned with the tight end position. If you go back and watch tape on Clemson, Clemson has struggled against teams that use the tight end a lot. And so I think when you lose Eric Gilbert, Darnell Washington, Fitzpatrick, three people who are very, very good football players, when you lose those three guys, I think it's going to make a pretty big impact on the game. But let's move on to the variables. The variables that I think will play into this game, the first one is the QB play. Who's going to have the better QB play? Trevor Lawrence went down. DJ came in and started against Boston College, beat them, and then he came in and played against, my mind's going blank, I'll put it on the screen here, and lost to them. So he's 1-1 starting with Clemson. But that isn't to take away from him, because obviously stepping in Trevor Lawrence's shoes, it's pretty difficult. So you can't put too much on it there. But he doesn't have too much experience playing the game, but he did get to sit behind Trevor Lawrence, learn the system. He's very comfortable. So I'm not too worried about DJ. I think he's probably going to play very well. On the Georgia side of the ball, JT Daniels obviously came in last year. Georgia had terrible QB play last year with Dwan Mathis, Stetson Bennett. There was just a lot of things that just didn't go well at the quarterback position. But when JT Daniels stepped in, he took the offense to a different level, honestly. He came in, played great. He had a great game against Mississippi State with Jermaine Burton. Both those guys had incredible games then. He came in Cincinnati, led a winning drive at the very end of the game in the fourth quarter. Kenny McIntosh had some great catches. They went down and scored, won the game, kicked a field goal, won the game. So he's been through a lot of adversity. He had some injuries when he came from USC. Started there his whole freshman year. Got injured, I think it was the first game of his sophomore season. Came to Georgia. And so now here we are, and he seems to be one of the highest rated quarterbacks coming into the season. I think when it comes down to it, I think Georgia is going to have the better quarterback play. I think JT Daniels is more experienced. He's went through more adversity. He's had to lead his team to win and drive. When it comes down to crunch time, the lights are on, he's been able to deliver and perform at an elite level. And I think, even with all the injuries at wide receiver, I think he's still going to have – there's still plenty of people. And then A.D. Mitchell is a freshman that came in, was shining a lot. He had a lot of great plays in the G-Day game. I think he has enough weapons, and he's been, playing with these guys from spring ball, summer camp, fall camp. He's been working out with these guys, building chemistry with them. I think they're going to be just fine, especially with Karis Jackson coming back. That's huge. If Karis Jackson or Jermaine Burton wasn't going to be playing in this game, I would be a lot more concerned. Losing Karis Jackson, Burton, Darnell Washington, Gilbert, Fitzpatrick, all for this game, I would be pretty nervous at that point. With that being said, though, I'm not too worried because I have confidence in these young receivers and have confidence in JT Daniels. Now, in order for the quarterback to be able to play good, I think it's going to come down to the line of scrimmage. Georgia has a great defensive line, front seven. Clemson also has a great defensive line in front seven. But I think Georgia's offensive line is going to be better. I would take Georgia's offensive line over Clemson's. Clemson, from what I've read, has been having some issues with offensive line as well, not just Georgia. I think Georgia's been shifting some people around, trying to figure out what works. And Kirby, in his press conference after the second scrimmage on Saturday, said that they've already gotten their 5 players on offensive line, settled. They already know who's going to be playing. So that's good to know because now you can give those guys reps with each other throughout the week to get chemistry and form, because that offensive line has to gel. That's what a lot of offensive lines say. They say that the offensive line has to be able to gel with each other and form a chemistry and a flow. It's if the line's not working together, then it's just going to break and crumble. But I think Georgia's offensive line is better. I think Georgia's defensive line is also better. I think the line of scrimmage is going to be a huge part in this game. That's the second variable on here, but it kind of goes into play with the QB play. I think Jordan Davis, that dude is a monster. I think he's going to be, especially Clemson's been having some issues with center. I think Jordan Davis is going to be giving, whoever's playing at center for Clemson, I think Jordan Davis is going to give him a lot of trouble. I think he's going to have a lot of great plays, probably, I'd say probably 1.5 sacks this game. I think Georgia's going to come away with probably 2 sacks, 3 sacks this game, and probably a turnover. I think that the pressure that they're going to be able to put on to DJ is going to cause him to make some mistakes just because he's not as experienced. That's not to take away from him. I think he's probably going to play very well, but I think he's going to make just one too many mistakes. Probably the pressure is going to be just a little bit too much for him. I think the defensive line is going to cause a lot of trouble for DJ. Now, the other variable that I have written down, and there's obviously a lot more, is actually, let me add one now that I'm thinking about it. I think special teams is going to play a lot into this. I'm not familiar with the kicker or punter for Clemson, but Georgia has a great special teams unit. Jack Podlesny, Hot Pod, he hit the game winner last year for Georgia when we played Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl. He's been under pressure. He's had to perform in situations where the game was on the line, and he's came through and he's won. So he's already proven himself with adversity. And also with the punting position, Georgia has a All-American punter, honestly, in Jake Camarda. The dude can flip field positions like that. I mean, he's incredible. So I think when it comes down to it, I think the team who's able to flip field position the best is going to be the team to win. Because, if Clemson or Georgia is having to start on their own, 10-yard line every single time, that's going to be difficult. It's going to be really hard for that team to get going and get a rhythm going because you got to march all the way down the field and you got to keep doing it again. I don't want to sound too whatever, but let's say Georgia gets the ball at the 10-yard line, gets a first down, but then they get stalled right there, punt the ball, Clemson gets the ball at half field, and then they only have to go down, kick a field goal, it's 3 points, or get a touchdown. So if whoever has the better field position is probably going to have a better chance of scoring. Now, both of these teams can score. That's the thing. I don't think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I do think that it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. The last variable, the one that I was going to say originally, I think there's going to be a player that steps up. I don't know if it's going to be for Georgia or if it's going to be for Clemson, but one of these players is going to step up, make a big-time play. For Clemson, it could be Will Shipley, the running back. He may make a big play. I think somebody is going to have to step up for one of these teams. Somebody maybe that we're not too familiar with. Somebody that's or it could be someone like, Justin Ross for Clemson. He makes a miraculous catch, It's like a 3rd and 5, if Clemson gets the first down, then they can run the clock out and win the game. They throw the ball or run the ball. I don't know. Throw the ball to Justin Ross, he catches it, and then it's like that, or hands off to Will Shipley, runs it up, gets a first down, and that's the game right there. Or with Georgia, it could be someone like A.D. Mitchell, a freshman, who goes up there, makes a huge catch, puts Georgia up, or someone on defense like Brini makes an interception, flips the ball game, momentum switches for Georgia. I think somebody's going to make a play that when you look back on the game, you're going to be like, man, that right there is when the game flipped. And I hate to bring this up, but with the Georgia game, when they played Alabama in the national championship, when we had that blocked kick, the blocked punt, and they said it was offsides, if that blocked punt would have went Georgia's way, I think Georgia would have won the game. But because it didn't, Alabama was able to keep their offense going, gain more momentum, take us into overtime, and then finally beat us with that last-second throw from Tua. But I think there's going to be a play or something like that that is going to flip the whole narrative of this game. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be very close going into halftime. I think it's going to be like a 7-point maybe difference in the game. Someone's going to be up by 7 or 3, something like that. It's going to be very close. And I think in the second half, somebody's going to come in, make a big play, and totally just flip the whole game, and then that team is going to run away. I think whoever wins is probably going to win by a touchdown. I don't think it's going to come down to a field goal. Very, very well could, but I don't think so with my prediction personally. I think whoever wins is going to pull away, make a big play in the fourth quarter probably. That's where this player, whoever it is probably going to make a huge play and help pull their team to victory. So finally, with my prediction for the game, I have Georgia 35, Clemson 31. Now obviously I would pick Georgia to win. I want them to win, but I honestly think Georgia will win the game. I think with the quarterback play and the defensive line, honest to goodness, my biggest confidence in this game is Jordan Davis on defense. I think Jordan Davis is going to be the biggest factor. If I had to pick an MVP, personally, I think it's going to end up being Jordan Davis. Now, obviously, I think JT Daniels is going to have a great game. I think the wide receivers are going to have a great game. I think there's going to be some people that, after this game, the national media is going to be like, wow, we need to keep our eye on this kid. Maybe it's like A.D. Mitchell. Maybe it's Jack Saint. I'm not really sure, but I feel like when it comes down to it, I think Jordan Davis is going to be the reason why. I think the run game. Now, Clemson, let me tell you this too, this statistic I heard on a podcast. I think it was Mike Griffith with Dog Nation. He was talking and he mentioned that Clemson was 11th in rushing last year in the ACC, not in the country. So you take that, ACC, they have decent teams, but it's not the SEC, when it comes to running and defense and stuff. So when you're 11th in the ACC, when you play a team like Georgia, who ranks like top 5 in run defense, I think actually first. I think they were the best run defense team last year. When you face a team like that, you're going to have challenges running the football. And so I think, and a big reason that is because people like Jordan Davis on that front seven, it's hard to run past people like that. That dude's huge. So I think he's going to be a huge factor in the game and one of the main reasons why Georgia will win this game. But yeah, I have Georgia winning 35-31. Thanks for watching, though. I really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. Hopefully I'll be coming out with some more videos here soon, but I'm super excited about this game. Can't wait. It's going to be a good one, September 4th at 7:30. So see you next video.